Oh, what is up, my friends? And it is Friday. Y'all know what that means. It is time for another episode of Map 5. We've got Phil and Ethan here alongside me today. Billy's still recovering from the back surgery a little bit, so we put up this funny picture of him on the screen.
I like that how this looks is that we've got a Billy-shaped buffer between the two of us and Ethan.
Yeah,
we need that buffer from time to time.
That's it. That's fair because people in public are usually trying to get people between me and them because I'm just so horrific to be near. I'm just
look. We've all been thinking it for a long time, so thank you for finally putting it into words. That's much appreciated.
I feel like he stinks as bad esports takes.
Hey, that's why we got you on the cover this week. It's that's why you're the thumbnail.
We could talk about that thumbnail. It was an interesting one. Do we want to give the gamers a story?
We could.
I mean, it's only really worth bringing up if you've actually got the other alternative picture for that, ready to go as an example.
There's
Unfortunately.
But peeling back the curtain, there are some okay pictures of Ethan that we were considering for the thumbnail, and there are some less okay pictures of Ethan we were considering for the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And we need you to all like and follow the podcast, otherwise we will start using the bad ones. That is a threat.
Yes.
That's good.
Unless I see
we don't have enough likes, you're getting a death stare next week. So.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying. Trust me, it is absolutely terrifying. Speaking of, I mean, I could try to roll it into being terrifying, but I don't think our news is really all that terrifying this week.
It's quite nice in
it's
places.
It's actually quite pleasant.
Good, yeah.
So it doesn't really feed into the segue, but let's go ahead and get it started. We had a big announcement this week. We got the Owl talent lineup. As I pull that up here as a good producer that I am, and
we've certainly got the Map5 Twitter feed right there.
Yeah. Somehow this tweet decided to go to the homepage or something ridiculous.
Weird.
I know, right there it is. There it is. All right, boom.
Yeah. Everybody's already heard about this, but we're still excited and still very happy.
Yeah, of course. It's a lot of the T2 people, finally getting the call. How could you not be happy about this, from a Path to Pro point of view? I mean, this is a shining example of Path to Pro actually working as advertised.
Yeah. So the Path to Pro for players is very narrow. There are only so many Overwatch League spots available. The Path to Pro for broadcast is even narrower. Like, it is walking a razor's edge. So, yeah, congrats to Lukemino, Leg Day, Vicky, Trid, and Necra for all making the call. Receiving the call. The call was coming from inside the talent announcement this whole time. There are still some questions about...
They called themselves?
They did, yeah. They called themselves up. There are some questions still about what this means for production at contenders level.
Yeah.
I think, Jeff, you caught this on Leg Day stream that he was probably still going to be doing contenders as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So what that landscape looks like, I think we won't know for a long time.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and we're hopeful as people who've been striving to get into T2 for a few years. Everybody on this podcast is very hopeful that there are opportunities to be had. Yeah. We've put a lot of hard work into this and to try to get better and better, and the floor's gotten higher and higher that it takes to break through. And not to mention the bottleneck in talent. So definitely got our fingers crossed. But hey, it doesn't take away from the fact that a lot of well-deserving people who have been at it longer than we have, finally getting some movement and getting some traction. I mean, Limit Day going to Owl is something I've been clamoring for nearly 2 years now. Mm-hmm. I mean, Necra was one of the first people that really pulled me into the fold of casting and Overwatch esports in general.
So I don't want this to sound like a complaint because it's absolutely not, but I do have a little bit of a track record of working with people and then moving up into contenders without me. It's happened 3 times, and I'm not bitter. It's just a thing that I've observed. This is the first time where someone that I was casting with regularly at the start of my career has moved up into Overwatch League, and I don't want to say that I'm a kingmaker or a queenmaker, but hey, consider casting with me. You might make contenders. You might make it up to Overwatch League.
Yeah. You might. I just want to say, that Necra Jaws jail is very exciting. That's a reason to watch the league, in my personal opinion. Necra and Jaws, they're just brilliant people. Brilliant. some of my favorite casters in the scene. And Necro also gave some of my first opportunities as well in esports. And also, I come from the Pokemon community as well, so she's there. So yeah, no, big Necro fan. Big Necro fan.
Yeah, good news all around.
Real quick, I'm gonna throw a quick audible in here with the feed that I'm giving you, so you have to just like relaunch it in a second. So there you go.
I really misheard that word that you just gave us. Audible, right?
An audible, yes. And, it's an NFL term. All right, it's a football term meaning.
Look at who you were talking.
I realized that after the fact that I'm talking to Europeans about
exactly? What does NFL stand for?
The National Football
Fancy Boy League. It's,
the National Foosball League. That's what it is. It's
okay.
No, foosball is an actual game that's tabletop football. No.
Correct.
Come on.
Correct.
No, that is hand-ag. Come on.
Okay. So an audible is when you change the play. When you have a game plan and you go in and at the last second you change your game plan entirely. That's
not being well prepared.
That's an audible. No, you read the defense and you read the moment, all right? You're adjusting, you're living organically, all right? It's not about being prepared. It's about being organic and changing things up on the fly, just like I've done for this entire new segment here.
I really wish this next news item was mine, because that was a hell of a setup for a segue.
Wasn't
unfortunately, for changing things up organically and moving on to the next news item.
Oh, all right. Well, you should have a fresh feed now, and I will get back focused on the topic at hand, because I'm guessing it's my topic.
Oh,
again.
Am I going to have to go and get a piece of paper before you actually pick up your item?
No. In Jeff's defense here, he was very clearly scrabbling with some buttons.
Yes, yes, exactly.
You play Scrabble with buttons. You play Scrabble with tiles.
Not Scrabble.
Potato.
Oh my goodness. All right, moving on. We're officially moving on. Let's talk about this Ghost tournament. We had a Hail Mary, to use another NFL term, a last second throw.
Pretty sure that's a Catholicism term.
Well,
that's definitely not an NFL term.
That's not what I meant. Oh my god. Do I have to describe what throwing a Hail Mary is now too?
Yes, go ahead.
No. That would
put it in Overwatch terms.
Put it in Overwatch terms?
A Hail Mary is chucking your diva bomb in at the last second, hoping for a 6K.
Yes, that is actually accurate. That is actually 100% accurate. So it's that to Goats. It is a last second Goats tournament that Toronto put together. And that's 3-3 will live on in our hearts and in our nightmares, depending on your point of view on it. Dark mode, somebody who we haven't really heard hire or hear of in the off season, hasn't really been around in a lot of these community tournaments that have been going on. Apparently showed up and kick ass at some Goats. So
yeah, do we know who was on that roster?
I do not offhand. I got to be honest.
Okay.
I can go and do the research. Hang on. So you just give me like 2 seconds while I actually prepare. Carrots is playing. Carrots and Mattwork. Those are two people who play. That's exciting.
Okay.
There's some notes for you.
Thank you. We also had, I think that's Attack Mode in second.
Yes, Attack Mode got second.
Another name that we've not really heard much from in the off season.
Exactly.
To be fair, it's not them playing under the Drifters name, so it's like their old name.
Yeah.
Right.
I say that. It's only Ship, really. It was on that roster. And Neptune.
Ship and Friends, okay.
It's Ship. Oh no, Ship, Neptune, Skyward, so it is the old attack mode roster, plus Lava, Magic 8-Ball, and Chime. So it's old attack mode with some interesting personalities.
Yeah, it's old attack mode and some interesting personalities, and also Magic 8-Ball.
Yes.
So interesting personalities and people who make really bad jokes on Twitter. I got it.
I thought that was us. I thought we were the ones making really bad jokes on Twitter.
Have you seen Maypole's Twitter?
Yeah. I have. It is a crowded sphere, isn't it?
Yeah. Moving on, looking forward to the future this time, we have a LAN Invitational coming up tomorrow, this care of Kentucky Esports. And Kentucky Esports, a team that we haven't really seen much from, like at a OWCC level. But fantastic that they are willing to host this event, a nice bevy of teams appearing on that one. Don't know if it's going to be broadcast. Probably worth keeping your eyes on social media if this is your kind of thing, but should hopefully be a good time all round. We do like a LAN. We love a LAN.
Yeah, we love a LAN, especially collegiate.
I know what it feels like.
Wow.
Oh.
You just got to try a little harder, Ethan. That's
all. All right, sad moment. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
that's passed.
Yeah.
But
actually, there was a second there where I thought I genuinely upset Ethan. Like just
I was
looking.
already upset.
Okay.
I was upset before this broadcast. All right, it's okay. I get it. Everyone hates me. The world's going to end.
Those two things aren't related, but yes.
Those things are not mutually exclusive.
We're good.
Okay.
All right, so let's take place April 16th. I don't know if we said that already, but yeah.
It is tomorrow.
Yeah, that is tomorrow. God, I can't believe we're halfway through April already. Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Best not to think about it.
I know. I looked up at that and was like, "Oh yeah, that's next weekend, right?" It's like, no, that's
The
tomorrow.
world is gonna end soon.
That is tomorrow.
At the rate we're churning through days, yeah, it's any time now.
GG's go next.
Speaking of going next,
That's you.
yeah,
Nice
yeah.
segue. Well done. You're on time this time.
You didn't have to hold up the paper. It was great.
We got a list of collegiate schools and their respective the benefits. So what they have to offer, kind of what their schools are built around. There's really two here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up for y'all to see on screen. So we have the Collegiate Overwatch channel, which is a student-run Overwatch channel focused on collegiate play with the awesome cowl logo that I'm just a huge fan of. I might like this better than the Pilot Diva logo that OWCC used, but hey, that's a different story. And so this is where schools could provide feedback. But then we had this incredible list, which I'm just gonna go ahead and open up here, of a lot of different programs, and it's continuing to grow. There's more on here now, 31 different programs. I mean, just talking about some really transparent things that I think is good. So when we had Louis on this podcast, he was talking about you got to really do your research and get to know, if the school's right for you. Talk to players, talk to the coaches, and really find out as much information as you can, which I think why this is so important. I mean, this is just put out there in full transparency what the schools can offer you from a collegiate level down to the tuition, the minimum, the maximum, the average that they give out. Do they have coaches? Do they have an on-campus facility? Does your team get broadcasted? I thought this was an amazing thing for the scene to put out there. And if anybody looking to get into collegiate, like, this is a must look.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is like probably fairly subject to change because all this kind of stuff is, but it's a good indicator of like which colleges are ready to put some money at establishing a good collegiate team for Overwatch. This builds really nicely on the list that Jake Sucky put out 2 months ago of like all collegiate esport tournaments, not just programs, not just Overwatch. But yeah, this is a heck of a resource if you are looking at where to continue your education.
I want to put a note in that money isn't always a good sign. Remember, we've seen some poor Overwatch tournaments or, poor Overwatch teams in the past who put a lot of money in, but not in the right places, right? You need to look at some of these esports programs might not be run by esports people and people, who've just played games in the past. You need to be careful about what sort of programs you're approaching. So make sure you kind of talk to the people who are in charge of those esports programs. I think that's probably something that you should definitely do if you want to go to college and pursue esports as well.
Case in point, a couple of weeks back, a friend of mine sent me a news item from back home in York, which is where I'm from, where I was raised. One of the colleges in York is starting an esports BTEC, and for those of you from outside the UK, BTEC is like it's above high school level education, but before university education.
I have a story on this.
Okay.
I have a story on this exact thing.
This York college, great that they are putting together some esports resources. Looking at who's in charge of this course, they are also in charge of beauty, makeup, and sports. So, not an esports expert. Maybe they're going to get the chance to become an esport expert, but you've got to do some additional research. You can't just go, oh, cool, they're going to give me X dollars to go to college here.
Yeah. If everyone's entertainment, right? Search up the word esports and look in the job section on LinkedIn. You find some hilarious shit. Particularly if you do look around some of those colleges. Like there was one that wanted you to be like an esports lecturer, and also you had to teach computer science.
Huh.
Oh yeah, those two things totally overlap. Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a higher likelihood of you having studied computer science and also being familiar with computer games, but it's definitely not a metric for, yes, this person can lead an esports college course.
No, they
Yeah.
wanted you to teach both of them and be on
Yeah.
one salary. Yeah, no. Let's just move on before we talk about the UK education system.
Well, one thing I wanted to highlight on this list before we do move on is why I'm looking at what their staff looks like, not what their maximum scholarship is. I think this is a far more indicative number over here. And if I zoom back out, this is Boise State that's currently at the top. Who have quite a strong program. I'm sorry, that's UCI at the top. Boise State's the next one that have 5+ in their staffing, including coaching. These are both schools that we saw in the top 16. That aren't, they're not your Northwood or your Maryville. There's not ones who have you've been participating in contenders, but have really built up a strong base. Bay State is also in that list. University of Missouri. Southern New Hampshire was one that I was surprised to see. And this is one where their scholarship offerings aren't super high, but they have a private facility that's on campus with a 5+ staff, including coaches and managers and stuff. So things like this I thought were really cool, because I would never have thought of Southern New Hampshire University was that was really putting a lot of emphasis into their esports. And where this, if I was just looking at this numeric alone, I would certainly give them a call and see what they're about. So a really cool list. Definitely recommend checking it out. That was from, again, Collegiate Overwatch. OW Collegiate was the name of that handle, of that account. So worth a look for sure.
Whoever's running that page, a very intelligent being. Don't know who it is actually. Does it say on the Twitter?
I haven't seen it.
It just says student run.
Student run. Well, the people who are running it are doing a great job for people getting into collegiate. It's brilliant. They clearly have everyone's best interest at hand.
Lots
of thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up.
That's actually me smiling on broadcast. That doesn't happen very often. There's usually nothing to smile about.
Good. You love to see it.
Smile during trials. Trials is good in top OD games, but you can't impress me. Just get me smile. That's when you know you've done well. If I smiled at your game.
What would make me smile is if you move on to our next news item.
Oh yeah, good. Right. So typical news item. This is about an event going on in Korea. So this is why I'm talking about it. We have another Brenna Esports night, which is cool. I'm a big fan of these. O2 Blast and Talon will be here. Awesome. Love to see that. Get to see more of this Talon roster that we were a little bit unsure about. So that's going to be unique.
This is the massive Talon roster, right? It's like the 10-person roster.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And O2 Blast, I'm very excited about for the next year, really. The next years to come. More Heesang action. So that's going to be exciting. But they've also invited WGS Phoenix and SLT, Starlight Gaming. Big fan of SLT. SLT came through contenders trials with Incendia for the last contenders season, and I really admire the work that they're doing over there.
Fair enough. Well,
I enjoyed the last one, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's English language coverage is not going to be there, but if you just want to watch the Overwatch being played, it's a great event. So check out the VOD at the very least, because it will be at a weird time of day for our NA viewers.
I anticipate Avril will be co-streaming it. I will co-stream the first one. So I
would love to co-stream that as well. Actually,
well, we can think about that.
Oh, well.
We do have some broadcast capability. Let's see what we can manage.
Yeah, we've done it once or twice.
Yeah. So on to the next news item. I'm going to take two in a row here. The first one being not quite tier 2 adjacent, but it's a nice jumping off point for the second news item, which is that the upcoming Outlaws Battle for Texas is being supported by Belong Arenas, who I've got a long history with and a lot of respect for, to bring PCs running Overwatch 2 Beta to the Battle for Texas, so you can go and watch some Overwatch 2 being played, and then you can play some Overwatch 2, presumably be watched by somebody as well, so it's a nice bit of symmetry on that one. So even more reason to go to the Battle for Texas, over and above the fact that I believe if you go to the Battle for Texas, you could meet our very own Jeff Bullskunk here.
It's true. I will be there.
Yeah. I think
Go
Sir
find him.
Wolfham's going too.
Get him to sign something for you.
You see Sir Wolfham? Sir Wolfham's the guy with the weird mustache, probably wearing a weird shirt as well. Tell him I said hi.
There you go. Anybody with a weird mustache and a weird shirt, I'm going to tell.
Just call them Wolfham.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they are.
No. You got to say Sir W and be like, "Yo, Ocean said hi, Sir W," and you might get some weird looks, but you'll eventually find them.
I like truncating it to Sir Dub. You know,
Sir Dub.
Yeah, Sir Dub.
I rotate between the two. But it's also been mentioned to me that Sir W has more syllables than Sir Wolfham.
Sir Wolfham, yeah.
That is kind of interesting. I can't say I've ever thought about that. But yes,
next news item, which ties in nicely with this one. So the reason I wanted to bring up Belong Arenas here is that Belong did a lot for me very early on in my career, giving me like experience working in the studio and casting on a stage. And the thing that I was casting was the Arena Clash Grand Finals, and it has been a long 2 years since we had an Insomnia, which is the gaming festival these things take place at in the UK. And without missing a beat, the team Stratford Spartans are back in that #1 position. And when you look at some of the players they've got on that roster, you can start to understand why a little bit. So just at the high level here, we've got Jaru and Disclosure, both playing on the Stratford Spartans. And they have played on the Stratford Spartans roster for as long as I've been doing it, I think a little bit longer.
They play on other teams together too.
They have, yeah. And like, you know, we're talking about top level UK players here, and also top level players on their opponents. I believe was the Swarm this time around, who have Horrocks and Yamba playing for them.
X-Trials.
Yeah, X-Trials. And again, if you're familiar with the UK scene, names that you'll have recognised from there. But yeah, cool to see the return of LANs. We do also have, I believe, coming up tomorrow, in addition to the Arena Clash Grand Finals, Insomnia runs tournaments called Insomnia Masters. The Overwatch Insomnia Masters is coming up tomorrow, and I believe Lake Day is going to be casting that one, so that'll be good to check in on.
Yeah, Mind Goblin are playing too.
Oh yeah, Mind Goblin are playing. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, with Condi and Theomatic as well. So you got some South Africans went there. Yeah. Also, Tread played as well. So I have to mention Tread because he used to play for Incendia. So I'm like, sorry. So Tread was the off tank for the winning team as well. So good job, Tread. Good player.
Yeah.
That's you just
that team's a little bit OP for a community tournament.
a little bit maybe.
Well, moving on, we got another tournament on this side of the pond that is happening not this weekend but the next. We've got the East Coast Springdown. I like Springdown. Let's just call it the Springdown. But we do have another LAN going on here. This is for high school and collegiate.
Is this a LAN?
I believe so.
Oh, cool.
I say that. Well, it was so okay. I read it as a LAN because it's like just East Coast. So I assumed because that there was that regional that they were trying to get people in person. I could be wrong. Maybe that was just the way I interpreted or misinterpreted the tweet. Either way, another grassroots competition going on the weekend of the 23rd, 24th. So now you got me second guessing myself. I hope it's a LAN. Like I want it to be a LAN. I want it so bad to be a LAN. I'm gonna just make it that in my head.
It's certainly a something, and we're happy that whatever it is happening.
Yeah, the more the better. The more the better. I mean, we've had to kind of fill our own void in the off season. So anybody and everybody stepping up to do that has been absolutely awesome. But signups are still open for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is something that we could definitely work on in the future as well. When we have our Path to Pro still here, more community tournaments would be nice. Like this whole season has been really, really impressive. But one thing I will stress is, can we please talk to each other about when our off-season tournaments are? Because we've had a couple running over with Collegiate, we've had a couple running over each other. Let's improve the communication between tournament organizers, please.
Okay, yeah, can't argue with that. Everybody on the same page.
Noted. Yes, sir. I promise I will communicate more about my upcoming community tournaments.
Otherwise, we will have a very angry podcast with me death staring into the camera the entire time, and it'll be the thumbnail, and you don't want that.
Yeah, at least on my end, I can close the preview, and then that's no longer my problem.
Out of sight, out of mind. Speaking of, moving forward.
Oh yeah, I should probably move forward considering it was my news. I know. Yeah, we got some Korean events happening alongside the Ban Esports night. Not together, but we have one of our old friends, Changsik, most recently on the Vancouver Titans, moving towards casting, and always kind of like came across as like a more conversable player, right? Got a good bit of personality. I think this is a good fit. I think Changsik's going to enjoy casting a lot.
Yeah, I wish I had the language skills to be able to tune in and get his insight. Maybe that's something I can start working on.
I can pick out like random words. Look, it won't be hard to tell when he's excited, and Changsik is a very personal person, so I'm excited for that.
Man, the Korean shoutcasters definitely do not lack excitement.
No, they do not.
They're on the same level as like Hispanic football announcers, where it is just over the top. It's infectious. Like it's kind of awesome. Like I wish I could get away with that. I would just sound like a moron screaming into my mic relentlessly. But no,
because when people hear Americans screaming, they probably turn off their television because it's usually something weird and bad happening.
I can't argue with that.
Let's go Britland. Sorry, I was going to like a hashtag Britland or like message with that. I was just really stalling because the next thing is also mine. The next news item. We'll talk about a little bit of an update from the side ELeagues. League play is finished, and we are now towards the playoffs. The top 4 have been playing it out in playoffs. The top 2 go into the upper bracket. The lower 2, which were Phoenix Esports and the Ultimates, went into the lower bracket and played a game today, with the Ultimates dropping a game surprisingly 3-2 to ANJ, Crand Up and Asking, and the rest of the Phoenix Esports gamers.
Yeah, it's surprising when you look at the talent on this roster and the results that have been achieved by them individually and together in some cases. The Get Amazed has come out of this going, oh, like this is I'm ashamed of this performance to finish 4th, and like it sounds very like hand wavy, but this is competition, and sometimes it do be like that. I really hope that he's not like really beating himself up over this, because the guy gets an awful lot right, and like one missed opportunity here as a coach is really it's admirable that he is like taking it to heart, but I really hope that he doesn't beat himself up too much.
I think it's really nice to see your head coach like Get Amazed take accountability and say, okay, maybe we got this wrong. Maybe we approached the tournament wrong. Maybe it was a roster thing, whatever. Something maybe went wrong. The accountability that man's taken is so admirable. But don't beat yourself up, because we need you in Overwatch 10. We need you in the Overwatch League soon, because you're a great coach, great personality. We need to Get Amazed. Everyone likes a bit of Get Amazed.
Yeah. Everyone can do with a bit of Get Amazed in their life. And
Amen.
Another person that we seem to have routinely in our life over here that we cannot run an episode of this podcast of without mentioning, to the point where we are seriously discussing having an individual animatic for this to bring it up every day, is we do have Natter News, so the Natter News segment coming up. And
it's the Natter News.
Oh, there we go. We got a full musical sting and everything. So yeah, strongly hinted in our last appraisal of Natter's movements that he might have an OWL contract. He's going live with an announcement tomorrow, so I guess keep your eyes to social media, keep your eyes on Natter's Twitch, and yeah, hopefully we get some news and we get it soon. Best of luck to you, Natter.
Well, he already knows what it is. It's best of luck to us here, wishing for him to have something cool, right?
Okay, best of luck maybe wasn't the right phrase, but positive sentiments in the direction of Natter.
Yeah.
We like the guy. He does a lot for the community. He's genuinely a really nice guy, so we want nothing but the best for him.
I also might cry if it's nothing like too big. I like Natter a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's got in store. He definitely deserves the accolades and deserves to move forward. So
yeah, the guy's been working a long time and is a valued part of the community. And speaking of other valued parts of the community, we would be remiss not to mention the fact that not only did we get some big news and some updates on exactly what we can expect from the newest hero in Sojourn coming up when the beta releases in 11 days, 10 days?
Wow,
11
is
days.
that
It's
quick?
26.
Yeah, 26.
10 days over here.
10 days over there, yeah. 11 days for us in the main character time zone. But the reason we wanted to bring this up, because this kind of news isn't like typically in our wheelhouse, but we have all the time in the world and all the respect in the world, specifically for Briggsy, that's Briggsycakes on Twitter, who got a big starring role in the interview, the panel on what to expect from Sojourn, and commendably and perhaps expectedly used it to really highlight why having a woman of color in the Overwatch character roster is so important for the community, and like she's been a really, really great voice for that for the entire time I've known her. And so yeah, wonderful to see Briggsy given this kind of opportunity. And I was watching that desk section and thinking, this would actually be pretty good to have Briggsy with this kind of energy and this kind of tone on the Overwatch League desk. Like maybe that's a pipe dream, but I do think that would be very cool.
I mean, even if just to do segments.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Like the 4 that are on the desk are pretty established. Like I love all 4 of them as desk hosts, but I couldn't agree more. Like her energy was so good. Like she was charismatic. She was intelligent. Like it was there was a lot of appeal there. She did a wonderful job. And we were kind of almost jokingly talking about how, we as broadcasters need to make sure that, we have some hosting skills and some desk skills. And it's a lot harder than it looks. It's the best ones make it look easy. As with most jobs, people who are the best at it make it look effortless when in fact there is a lot that goes into it. And she was seamless. She was flawless. And I loved this. I mean, there's a lot to unpack on this whole issue. But on that note alone, I thought Briggsy knocked this out of the park and did a good job of not straying from the important topics while still kind of just slowly getting bits and pieces of information out along the way and kind of putting the devs in just enough of an uncomfortable position to share a little bit. But, you could tell that they were talking a little bit more than they wanted. So I know that there was a little bit of backlash that there wasn't like this just wealth of information about the new game suddenly in this update, but it's like that wasn't the point of the update. Like I think the fact that we learned so much as we did about the backstory of the hero, about the Sojourn's role within Overwatch in the story and how important that was to the dev team. This isn't just a random add-on character, but it is an integral part of the story for all of the heroes involved, and that it was a strong Black woman that took that role. That was important.
Absolutely.
And I think that's, I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And I think for the naysayers, you just weren't looking close enough because we did learn a lot in this.
Yeah, and I think remiss of us if we don't mention the fact that if you are one of the people that was in chat saying abhorrent things and just generally being a dickhead, to be perfectly frank, I don't want to be in the same community as you. I know a lot of people don't want that kind of energy in this community. And so please kindly pack your bags and fuck off if
fuck
that's
off.
Who you are.
Yeah.
I was about to say that's a polite way to say fuck off.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And as we've talked, we don't shy away from touching on these subjects either. And I mean, we're 3 white men on this podcast talking about these things, but it doesn't take, like, you're human beings. And
basic human decency.
There's basic human decency. Exactly. And like, that's something that everybody should be able to recognize and respect. I thought Flats had a wonderful tweet about the subject of if you don't see the need for this kind of conversation, then look at the plethora of people who are just looking to rob inclusivity and happiness based on some sort of shallow, I don't know what need that is that they're trying to fill, but it's disrespectful and
it's a need for
it has
sort of like love
attention, maybe, I don't know, but it has no fucking place in our esport. Like, just fuck off.
Yeah, there we go. And Briggsy did a great job as well. I think that
we can't stress that enough.
Can't stress that enough.
That outweighs the negativity, I think. Just seeing
and FindingKyKy as well. Like I feel like we've FindingKyKy. Sorry, I feel like we've mentioned Briggsy explicitly, but like FindingKyKy was also very good on that panel.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I just think it's nice to see someone who's actively involved in supporting our scene finally get this chance, and a chance that she very well deserved.
Boom.
Don't think there's much more to say on that one, which takes us to the main portion of our show. It's probably actually going to be the shorter portion of our show for today because the big news article here is the Overwatch Collegiate Cup recap now that that's all done and dusted.
Indeed, and I mean we had 4 fantastic matches this weekend. We got to finally the conclusion. And this is a year long, and this is something that I don't feel I know a couple of broken thoughts here. So let me back up a little bit. This is an event that is all year in the making, and this semester, this year in 2022, it was kind of just broken down from February on. But we only get snippets of the final 2 weekends, and so it feels like another one of these just like little short tournaments that we had happen in the scene. This is something that expands across both semesters. This is an annual championship, and something I think deserves way more attention and promotion than it's getting, because these were phenomenal games. All 4 games that we got over this weekend, it was the top 5 left in Collegiate out of the 16 that entered weekend 1. And there's a lot of really, really good talent on display this entire weekend. I enjoyed every single one of those games.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the Savannah College Art and Design match. Because I got a lot of time for SCAD. They were my bet for a dark horse run. Unfortunately, couldn't make that. But yeah, a very entertaining weekend of games, admirably broadcast by Rich Red and Kenobi, who we're all fans of here. So we can talk maybe a little bit about some of the upsets in prediction, because I know that Louis was on the Bay State train. I was on the Bay State train to take this. I don't know where you guys landed on that one. But ultimately, they didn't get the deep run that we expected them to.
Still did decent.
Oh yeah, they didn't do
They got
poorly.
fourth.
Like I had them winning it. Fourth is not winning it.
This is true.
Yeah, I think based it. I think they just overworked themselves. They had so many events the past 2 weekends. Like I think tiredness did play a part. But top 4. I mean, the teams they lost to were Harrisburg Storm, who they they beat Harrisburg, Northwood, and Maryville, and Redbirds. So they finished 5th through 6th. But like they're a great team. We already know that. And what's really interesting to me, I know we're going to talk about people who, we were very, very, I guess impressed with over this event. The head coach of Bay State is Tensa.
Yeah.
There's an event coming up soon. Hasn't been announced yet. That Tensa is head coaching 2 teams with. Look, this man's passion and dedication to Overwatch is mental. It's absolutely mental. Like he coaches Wisp currently, head coach of Wisp, head coach of Bay State as well, and gets so much value out of all of these players. This Bay State roster, if I Tensa, I guarantee we'd be talking about them 12th through 16th. Guaranteed. They're great players, but to have someone who's going to give that level of attention and dedication to you, it is absolutely ridiculous. And one of those players who's felt the benefit of that is probably Faded, their main tank. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Not just in OWCC, but in Questline as well. Faded's been a great player and great improvements over the last couple of months, even the last year from Faded as a player. Very impressed. But look, Tense is the one out of those 2 weekends was the one that really, really got my attention. Always has done, but that's a coach getting that attention. They're not on screen. That's very impressive.
Very seldom.
Personal correction. Yeah, Bay State got 5th, 6th. I guess 5th, because Redbird got 4th. So not to take anything away from Wheats and Flutie and that crew. We were highlighting Bay State, and then I put them on the screen, and it's them just kind of getting spawn held by Redbirds. So apologies to Tinsa and Faded and the rest of the crew. But I would like to echo that same sentiment. We saw it last weekend with Faded making that like miraculous hold on Rialto, where literally had 2 health and somehow survives and hangs on point A, and that's how they finished off the weekend.
Did you see his primal against Infected on Questline? Juggles him literally for like 8 seconds.
Yeah,
it is
crazy.
Mental. Actually
awesome.
Mental. If you haven't seen it, you got to go and look for it. It is absolutely mental. Crazy. Look, big fan of the people on base. I hope they keep working towards their goals. And just another note on Tensa, the last major tournament we had really for tier 2 teams was the Mayhem Classic, which he also won with Wisp.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would also like to point out that was a 2-0. That was still a 1-2. With the Redbird versus Bay State. Yes.
Grr. No more 1-2s. We didn't get to talk about it with the Toronto Defiant Goats tournament. No 1-1s ever. No.
And it does lead to some weird stuff happening. Like as much as I don't want to be seen to be shitting on these guys, but thinking back to Bear Claw and their run through the Berry Blast tournament.
Yeah.
Like, you can be good at control and nothing else and get quite far in a tournament like that if they're going to run that format. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for the competitive integrity of, at the very least, the bare minimum, first to 2, and ideally in the round of 16, we'd like to see that be first to 3, because round of 16, round of 8 as well, I believe. So round 1 of the quarterfinals for OWCC this weekend just gone was first to 2 as well.
Yeah, no, through semifinals. It didn't get to first to 3.
Oh yeah,
until
winners finals.
Until winners
Losers
finals. Yeah, winners finals and losers finals were the only games that were first to 3.
Losers
Grands.
semifinals too. Losers semifinals as well. So
Was it? Are you sure?
HU Storm. HU
Yeah,
Storm
I've got the
Redbird.
thing up. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, where HU beats Redbird. Where that one was a first to 3. You're right. So the next match we saw through this weekend. So we were talking about Bay State versus Redbird. Redbird pretty handily dismantled Bay State. Redbird was kind of looking up to form, right? Like it was like, oh, okay, here's, React really getting in the groove and starting to blend in with the crew. And they're Vision and Echo really starting to pop off. Redbird looked really good in game 1. Game 2, Northwood versus Maryville. And this would prove to be just kind of reigniting old rivalries, I'd say, or even taking that to a brand new level, because this match was phenomenal. This one would go all 5 in the first to 3 that we saw in the Overwatch Collegiate Cup. This one would go all 5, very back and forth. Like it was an absolute chess match through this first one, where we start on Nepal, we go to Blizzard World. I'm listing this out because you're going to see a theme in this a little bit later. Maryville take us to, Northwood take us to Blizzard World, and then actually bring that one back. They win it, and then you had Maryville take us on over to Rialto, where they put up a monstrous full hold. Oh wow, look at that. That was a good click.
Nice.
And then so we go to Rialto. They put up a monstrous full hold. Then we get taken to Junkertown by Northwood. And then it's...
You mean ELeagues and Junkertown, right?
Yeah, it was ELeagues. I was like, wait a minute. No, I don't know, because Junkertown was
ELeagues
Maryville. It was ELeagues that Northwood took us to.
Yeah,
and they were able to take it to 5.
And yeah, the fact that they take it to 5 twice, like there are 10 maps of Northwood v Maryville from last weekend. Like they make and there were 4 games broadcast last weekend, 16 maps total, 10 of which were Maryville versus Northwood, and all but 3 of which had Northwood in them. Like Northwood played a lot of Overwatch last weekend.
Yeah, they did. Spoiler alert. Those 10 maps, it's really 5 maps played twice each.
Yeah, the exact same maps.
That's when we see them a little bit later, it's literally the exact same maps in the exact same order, with different people choosing them. Yeah. So like that, it played out so interesting when we get to further down the bracket. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to kind of go through that list, because who was strong in day 1? And it's going to be Maryville that end up taking this and stick around in winner's bracket. Northwood head down to loser's bracket. It gets flipped around when we get into grands, but okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself. That was match number 2. It was maybe the best second match of the entire tournament behind the grand finals themselves. These two were so fun to watch.
Yeah, if you've not watched those VODs, go back and pick them up off of YouTube. Really, whilst we have had some pretty good tier 2 tournaments in the past few months, this to me, this Northwood Maryville double series is probably the closest, most entertaining Overwatch we've had since the last time they were like proper officials. Like this is a really good stuff to watch.
Yeah, agreed.
I had a weird point to bring up.
Sure.
Which is, if you look at the rosters for these teams, I think it's 3 out of 4 of the top teams actually have import players. So Harrisburg University Storm have Lethal and Tap, as well as Divya, who's in from Brazil. Soames in from Canada. I mean, I don't think Canada and America are at the same place, but it can feel like that some days. Bay State have Abs, formerly of EMEA Anna specialist.
As someone who lived in Canada, It feels way more like EU than it does like NA. I'm just saying.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm going there for a couple weeks in the next month or so. So
You'll be right at
tag
home.
back in.
The Queen's on the
Okay.
bill. They use metric.
Oh yeah,
Like-
I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten Canada had the opportunity to get rid of that and didn't, and that's always baffled me.
Actually, I know exactly who you're going to mention from Maryville. Can I make a note on that?
Do you? Okay, go on.
I'm pretty sure Cameron's like LFT Collegiate.
He
I
is
swear.
LFT Collegiate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shortly after Maryville won, I believe that tweet came out. So
Yeah.
whilst Cameron is on the Maryville roster, I can't say that I've seen him play this season.
No, I don't think he's played for Maryville for a while.
No.
Maybe the start of this year, before Mikey joined, right?
Possibly.
I swear I've seen Cameron play for Maryville points this year.
And I was holding off talking about players that I really liked from this matchup until we got a little bit later in the series, but Mikey was definitely one that stood out.
Yeah.
No, Mikey had a good performance.
Hardcore. No, yeah, Mikey had a phenomenal performance. Another team that had a really good performance was Harrisburg taking on Redbird.
Yeah.
Because this was dominant. This was incredibly dominant on a match that I thought would have been a lot closer. I had Harrisburg picked to go all the way. That's who I had to win it all. And I'm still confident in that pick, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in this particular match, when they did have Elk on the battlefield, it was clean. It was really clean.
Yeah.
I thought Harrisburg were good. I thought they were a little bit patchy over the course of the tournament. I thought there were points where they were great and points where they were good. I want to see more great from Harrisburg.
Yeah. There's definitely the talent there. Like they've got most of the pieces. It might just be a case of a little more time in the oven because their match against Northwood was one-sided. Might not be too far off the mark. It was 2-0 on Nepal, 2-1 on Eichenwald, 2-1 on Dorado. So that's a shutout for Harrisburg in the middle of both maps.
Well, and Eichenwald was okay. So we're getting into the next day at this point.
Yeah.
But that Eichenwald, they one and done point A, had like a 5.5 minute time bank, and then Northwood just held the gate. And I mean, literally just held the gate between point A and point B, and it looked like Chinese Overwatch, where they'd be down 2 in the fight and still investing ults, and they would lose one, but then those 2 would return, and they just kept doing this cycle on defense.
Yeah.
That was incredible because Harrisburg felt like we've got 2, like we need to do something, and then it gets stalled out just a little bit, and then suddenly they would have it was either the Diva or the Echo coming over the wall into the back line. And would start harassing, and then they'd have to deal with that in the reinforcement. It was this incredible cycle that Northwood did on the defense, and I don't think I've ever seen a 5.5 minute hold literally at that gate. I mean, they should have won that. And this is where I go to say I think they suffered without Elk. They did an interview after this match with Redbird. They interview. Oh, give me the roster again. I want to say it was Tap. I believe that's who they interviewed after this match.
Okay.
It was talking about the importance of Elk in this roster because obviously a veteran presence, right? We're talking about Philadelphia Fusion and on the huge, Philadelphia Uni team, like the team that dominated NA and went to Korea and had whatever success there. Yeah. But Elk was still on that squad where that kind of veteran presence really helped really helped Harrisburg against the match on Redbird. And one of the reasons that one was so dominant, and that it wasn't so much even on the field or, in game, but it was the mental. It was keeping a level head. It was like keeping nerves down and just like, hey, don't worry about that. Like, stay calm, stay focused. We got this. And then when they played Northwood, it looked like all that was out the window. And they had, oh shoot! I had whoever the replacement came in when Elk wasn't there.
Actually, it was Zomniac. Actually, it was Zomniac because Zomniac used to play man.
It is Zomniac. Yes.
And tier 2, God, man, I was just
exactly who it was.
Like a while ago, Zomniac was a tier 2 man support.
But I mean, I thought Soms looked really good on this one. I thought the DPS looked really good on this one. Tap from Harrisburg University put on a hell put on a hell of a performance. That's a name I'm going to be keeping my eye on as we head into contenders this year. I'm very
Well, I mean,
curious.
we lost Redbirds that round. I want
We
to
did.
note that Vision was a player that caught my eye. We're not going to talk about Redbirds anymore, so I wanted to use
No,
the
I think that's a great
opportunity to
shout.
say
I think that's a great
that
shout.
Vision played really well. And Weeks
Yeah.
was talking about Vision, the episode he did with us on episode 3, and he was saying that Vision's very, very talented. And that's someone, as I said, didn't really impress me previously, but played well this event.
Yeah, I think also worth noting for Redbird Esports, again, still in the adaptation phase from having lost Iron. And so for React to come in and put on the performance that React put up, I think is admirable. But it is always difficult when you lose someone that is at a core of your roster. And I think there's an argument to be made that off-tank is currently probably the strongest role in the game. If you lose the off-tank that you are more practiced with, that can have a pretty big effect on your performance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the last surviving member of the dominant fall 2021 roster.
Yeah.
Isn't that completely different? Oh my god, it is.
It is, yeah. There's
It's
only
like,
the
it's just
staff that
settling
remain.
in. It's just settling in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that, but when you say it, it's weird.
Yeah, Iron was the last one. Lukemino went to Maryville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looked outstanding, by the way.
Looked
Spoiler
pretty
alert. Spoiler alert. Lukemino looked really good on Maryville.
And you have got to want to be putting... If you're a support player at the minute, and you are looking at the Overwatch League and acknowledging that there is a team there that currently need a support player because of various reasons, you got to be pretty happy if you put up a good performance here at Collegiate Grand Finals, right? Because...
And there's 2 flex supports to talk about here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were both in grand finals. So let's move on into day 2. Let's keep this ship a rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, Jeff, I didn't realize you wanted to go on a game by game breakdown, and I've just pissed all over.
You could have you could have told us that one.
Oh, I don't know. That just seemed to make sense in my head. I don't know. Maybe it was more on the fly than anything.
Because then we could have been like, okay, let's pick a player or whatever.
Well, that's
from
the players are really what I want to
things.
highlight here, and that's
Yeah,
I did
that's
say,
what I'm saying.
and that's
We
what
could
I
have
really
formatted
wanted.
it better, all right?
I could have.
Sure.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get the dunce cap. All right. It's going on the topic.
The what? You get
The
what?
dunce cap.
The dunce
The
cap.
dunce cap.
You don't know what
Is
a
that
dunce
like
cap
just
is?
like Dunsparce? Like
Is that an American thing? I didn't know that was an American
No,
thing.
it's not an American thing. It's just
Okay.
an over a certain age thing, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Alright.
this is me we're talking
So
about.
is it an insult?
I'm a giant child.
Ocean, I can't believe you've not seen it's almost like a stereotype of when someone's stupid, you give them a big conical hat with a
No,
D
the
written
only
on it
thing
and stick
I
them in the
know
corner.
to deal with the word dunce is Dunsparce, the Pokemon.
Okay, then read a book. I don't know.
Yeah, all right.
Right,
So I'm an old child.
That's offensive. That's like me asking everyone here who's watching or is going to watch this in the future, go touch some fucking grass. All right, that's an insult.
Oh,
I'm gonna put this in our live channel so that at the very least we've got a point of reference for it later on.
are you actually putting in a picture of it? That's me.
There we go. It's Jeff. It's Jeff and his dunce cap. Anyway, visual humor that the audience can't see really works out nicely.
I know. I'm trying to see if I can get this on the stream real quick. Anyway, we'll figure that out.
It actually does kind of look like you, just without the beard.
All right, we'll tweet that one out. All right, that's just an excuse to follow our Twitter. We'll tweet that one out here in a moment. Anyway, day 2. Let's see. So we got Northwood takes on, or just smashes Harrisburg. We'll just glide through this one real quick. Because Harrisburg just looked out of form on this one completely and utterly. Like I was saying, they got full held on Eichenwald. It was not pretty. Not full held, but held at the gates.
Yeah.
It was here. I'm pulling it up here. They still don't have as. They had a ton of time. They beat this. Okay, maybe it wasn't quite first. Maybe it was second attack. But they had a ton of time going in and just get absolutely demolished. So, what does that mean? It means we get our rematch of Maryville versus Northwood for the grand finals. That's y'all can start talking now. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought we were going to straight into that one.
I'm pulling it up. I'm doing prod things. I'm sorry.
I feel like we've covered how both of these matches went. I think for me, it's very difficult for me to talk about these matches in isolation because I want to talk about how differently they went. Because it was the same map set, in winners finals and grand finals, but the maps went different ways at different points. Northwood win Nepal in the winners finals. Maryville win Nepal in the grand finals. I believe Blizzard World doesn't flip, but I think
it was the other way around.
As well.
Maryville won Nepal on both. Blizzard World, Maryville wins. And that's important because that was Northwood's like big pocket pick. Yeah. And one that they felt very strong on, and one that they were pretty dominant on in winners finals, and they get absolutely slapped in grants. And this is—it's not even close. And Mikey is getting the biggest halts I've ever seen in my life. Mikey was MVP of this map, hands down. I mean, just look at your screen right now. Like, look at that. That is not a supercharger. Those are halt assists, and it was like that every single one. I mean, obviously you're going to look at Collegiate. You look at this team. Collegiate was phenomenal, as Collegiate always is. Every single time Collegiate has a massive play, it's the same thing. Mikey gets these incredible halts in this map, and hands down, just MVP. I was looking at Mikey like he's going to be MVP the entire tournament after map 2. Like, this map was so good. And Maryville looked a 3-0 at this point. Like, this looked like it was done and dusted.
What's super weird is, Northwood could have lost this tournament. They had the map pick, and they were like, you know what? Last time we played them, we got absolutely stomped on Rialto. Let's go there.
Let's show them it was a fluke.
Yeah.
Well,
that's massive confidence, right?
I think there's one very interesting thing that we haven't spoken about here, which is specifically the off-tank matchup, because not only have we got Kalu's, who's just been picked up to go to the San Francisco Shock, but on the other side, Cowman, who is an absolute mainstay. I believe used to live with Jane back when Jane was doing Overwatch League coaching. Like
that's Clone Man.
That was Clone Man.
Oh, that was Clone Man. Shit.
That was Clone
Man. But still, like an absolute mainstay here.
No, Cowman is
That's not the most interesting thing, or the very least, not the funniest thing, is the fact that neither of those players played with their famous in-game name. There was no Cowman, no Colluge. We instead had the battle of Booger Snots and Burger Thief, which
Burger Bandit,
Burger Bandit. Sorry, man, I'm just dropping them all over today.
I'm gonna pass you that dunce cap. But we had Burger versus Booger.
Yeah,
and I like how there's even the same amount of syllables. And it is Burger Bandit and Booger Snot. Like, it was the off-take matchup of the year.
God, esports is weird.
Yeah,
Cowman actually held his own too. Cowman actually held his own.
I remember seeing a tweet about someone saying Cowman should have made Overwatch League after this event. I think it was someone from Northwood actually said it, which is really interesting. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I think when I looked at this event and I was looking at this game, I was looking at the flex support matchup, and that's, I think, not even more prevalent when a team as we know is looking for a Western flex support, or we assume a Western flex support.
And they are.
You've got to be looking at one of those two, right?
Yeah. Also, currently, we believe the team is practicing in LA. I think that's right. Hattie certainly has been in LA recently.
Gotcha. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I had to dig a little bit, but
I think you've got to go for one of them. I personally picked Landon, but in this event, Lukemino was superb.
They were both pretty phenomenal. So let's talk about some differences here, because it's the big point we want to highlight here are these players to look out for moving forward. If not, top tier contenders teams, maybe even tier 1 Overwatch League teams. I think it's one of my favorite parts of these events, of watching Collegiate in general, is getting to see this talent kind of bloom and blossom into something phenomenal. And these two, Lukemino and Landon, stood out in such massive ways. As you see Lukemino just light up the kill feed here. That's on the back of a Gravitic Flux coming out of Colluge, which of course the whole thing was initiated by a halt from Mikey. Circles back to square one. Honestly, I think Landon is the more bloodthirsty of the two. I feel like Landon is a little bit more of your DPS BAP. Super accurate, super deadly. Was actually able to handle iced on one or two occasions, That's
not why I would pick Landon. I know it's true. But
I'm just saying stylistically. Like, I'm just trying. Okay, no. What are your thoughts? I'm thinking out loud. When I think of these two flex supports, this is what's going through my head. I think of Landon as being a more bloodthirsty BAP.
When I think of Landon, I think leader. And
I love it.
I think that's
Yeah.
what London needs. I think leader. I mean, we watched an interview. I don't know who exactly did it. It was a Northwood interview after their game against Harrisburg, and they were saying Landon is the leader of this team. He keeps us in gear, keeps us in check. If we're not playing well, he says it, right? Landon is a leader, and I think the team that we were talking about is London Spitfire. They need a leader because they had a poor performance last year. I think he's perfect for an Overwatch 6 one. I always talk good on Landon. He's a leader. I mean, like we talked about Natter earlier in the broadcast. If you go to Natter's channel, one of my favorite ever VOD reviews ever was when Landon was a main support player for Susano, and Natter's talking about the Briggsycakes fundamentals. He does the fundamentals of the game well, and he's the perfect pickup for an Overwatch League team who wants a Western flex support. I love Lukemino. I would arguably say that Lukemino's more talented, but this person has got the personality and the actual dedication to go very, very far. I would go Landon.
Yeah, I mean, if an Overwatch League team was only looking for, do you have the mechanical skill to make it here, you would see offers being made to like the people that are top 10, top 100 on the ladder, whatever. And whilst that's usually an indicator of skill, it's not the only thing. And you do need people that have these other softer in-game skills, and that can really turn a team's fortunes around. And as a London Spitfire fan, I would like to have their fortunes turned around. It was not a good season to be a London Spitfire fan last season.
Oh, sad. It's true though.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard to tell in this font, but it does say Landon Spitfire down at the bottom of our screen right now. So I thought that was apropos.
You thought it was such a good pun that you had to bring up the fact that it wasn't clear in the way you displayed the pun.
Correct. Just nothing better than having to explain a pun. Like that's when that's when you know it's a good pun, right? That's how that works.
I mean,
shifting away from that.
What do you think about Lukemino? What do you think?
There you go. That was my next question.
His admirable trait that what brings him further, because I think the leadership of Landon and the actual personality of Landon is really hard to beat.
I don't know as much about Lukemino's personality per se.
I mean, you can see it in the gameplay. You watch Landon how he plays.
What?
I mean,
I was saying
Cole Weeds.
Oh, Cole Weeds. Yeah. Just get him in here.
My thing on Landon though, is you could see Landon's personality in the way he plays.
Well, and I feel like Lukemino is just always in the right position. Is always there to support that squad where Mikey and Kaluge looked unkillable a lot of the times. I mean, down split-second immortality fields at just the right moments. Nothing ever went to waste. The staying in a position where he's always getting max value in the fight without putting himself in a vulnerable spot. Like that to me is what stood out. Like it wasn't super aggressive. I mean, like the first clip we showed, we see him cleaning up on the back end of a gravitic flux, but he was never like getting bloodthirsty with it. It was like textbook Baptiste play, as far as I'm concerned. Like you draw it up. This is what the coach says it's supposed to look like. Lukemino exemplifies that, and we'll execute that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out if Lukemino was on the Scion Esports roster when the Scion Esports copy pasta came about. And it's hard to tell, but I think he might have been, that's one of my favorite copy pastas if you've not seen that.
Which one is that one?
It's which I can remember exactly. It's I'm gonna have to dig it out because I can't do it justice. I mean, you guys fill the dead air.
Okay.
Yeah, well, let's just debate on Lukemino versus Landon. Who would you pick if you were a tier 1 organization? You had to pick one of these Western flex supports. Who would you pick?
It's hard to, without knowing more intangibles about Lukemino, it's hard to make that call. I think both put up really, really excellent performances over this past weekend, and I would give both a tryout. Like that's
you would just test with both of them.
My answer is yes. I would give both a tryout and see how they fit into my program. I'm a coach. Like see how they fit into the setup that I've created, and gel with the other teammates and what they bring in on a personal and like a mental level. But without getting them in tryouts, it's too close to call as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what London's looking for. Do you want someone who's going to take accountability and responsibility in game and out, or do you want someone who arguably is more talented has probably won more money, won more tournaments, and Lukemino has a better track record. It really depends what you're looking for. I'm a big fan of both of them. Like, in terms of flex supports in the West, I think right now that aren't in the Overwatch League, I don't think there's anyone that can make Overwatch League but those two.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they are the two best flex supports in the West right now. I can't argue with that in the slightest.
I don't think it's close to be quite frank. I think those two are absolutely great.
Okay, so Maryville up 2-0 in the grand finals. They were able to win on Northwood's pick that they had lost to in the winners finals, and they're looking unstoppable. They're the double shield. They're beating Northwood at their own game. Northwood is known for double shield. Marywood come in and just smash them at their own game. They make it look better. They make it look easier. They're more coherent. Looking like it's going to be a 3-and-out. Then we go to Rialto. And the DPS starts showing up. And for 2 maps, it becomes the boat show. And I don't think this can be understated enough how much the DPS from Northwood stepped up and made this competitive. Because this was a map that they got full held on just the day before. And they turn around and do the same thing. You can see in this clip I've got pulled up. Northwood have already completed. They didn't have any time left, but they're able to push it all the way in. Maryville gets nothing on this, and Boat absolutely pops off just time, and it's nuts how much work Boat does on this Hanzo for 2 maps in a row. And somebody that, again, I think is one of those where it's like, I never thought of, I thought of Boat as being, good and a solid pickup to any team, not like one of the best we currently have in T2. And the performance that we saw over the weekend was the latter.
Yeah, I mean, Boat's got a lot of competition in his role right now. Like, if you look at like the people who are, like Cyrus is a player I think you would see Boat competing with right now. Yeah. King is another one. Tree or Toucan. Tree's changed his name to Toucan. That's something that is we should have actually probably put in our news segment.
I wasn't sure if they were serious about that, to be honest. So
it's serious as far as I'm concerned. Tree is not Toucan. Those are 4 young Western flex supports in flex DPS in North America. And then Northwood, I mean, Dynasty is the other DPS on this roster. You were talking about, how the DPS Dynasty, in my opinion, is if I was looking at a roster for North America right now, I was kind of thinking about just names, not necessarily thinking about, what sort of dynamic I wanted. Usually I would think about that, but if I was just thinking about if I want one of the best DPS players in North America, Dynasty is one of the first names that clicks into my head. At least first 2.
I mean, Dynasty did pretty damn awesome on ELeagues, and Northwood's able to win that one as well to send us to that map 5 once again. But it was, I can't argue with that. They were both really good. And in that role also, I mean, I think Ice kind of overshadowed there a little bit. But it was Boat's Hanzo was, to me, the best DPS performance of the grand finals. Although, I mean, that's very microcosm, right? I'm not talking about overall, but in that incredible series, that was the one that stood out to me. I do want to highlight, if we're talking about Dynasty, hold on, this just came up. I gotta pause this. Check this play out. This play is so awesome. This is I'm sorry. I'm a fan of killer Overwatch plays, so we've got to bring this up.
That's why we're all here. Come on.
Yes. So here's Dynasty. Here's to reinforce your point. This is pulling out that Genji on Rialto, by the way. Foregoes the ball, leaps in the back, gets the immortality field with the dive, with the dash to pull out the triple K to close out the map. Like, just.
I think there's a really nice note to end on here that, like, over the course of Overwatch as a game, there've been a lot of complaints about, metas being stale and heroes not being viable. That map was completed there with the DPS on the Super Shamada brothers. Like, Hanzo and Genji in the same map having big impact. Like, yes, we are about to leave the world of 6v6 behind us forever, and the game will change significantly. There will still be two DPS in the game, but the game will change dramatically. But we leave it in a pretty good state at the highest level, really.
I think the meta's been in the best place it's been for the entire life cycle. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of rock, paper, scissors. There's a lot of viability.
I'm gonna be real. Like, I think right now the game's in a good spot. Just little micro updates to kind of change. Like, okay, like Tracer gets a small buff and Genji gets a small buff for one patch, and then later on that gets reversed. Something to keep the game fresh and moving in the 6v6, the end of 66 have been really nice. And
Yeah.
personally, I don't know. My personal thoughts is they should have kept 6v6. I don't think it is an issue, other than it can be a little bit, I guess, chaotic at points. But
I think it's too early to judge that. I think we need to wait till we get a proper sample size on 5v5 before we can make that call.
It might not be better. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't have been a priority instantly. I think there's other things that we need to look at and fix with Overwatch before we change the amount of players on a team.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, anyway, this is not technically an Overwatch meta state podcast. It's really more of a tier 2 podcast.
It's probably a good time to move on from it.
It's adjacent. That's kind of what I was getting at here.
Yeah.
Guys, is there anything more you want to talk about on the end of OWCC for this season and in all likelihood for Overwatch 1, given that we know that Tier 2 certainly is moving on to, or Contenders is moving on to being on the Overwatch 2 Beta when that happens later in the year? Anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, I think Collegiate is pushing North America forward in competitive integrity, for one. I think it's pushing North America forward in terms of, actually being a stable and competitive region in Overwatch and other games as well. I think Collegiate has been absolutely brilliant for North America. I'm jealous we don't have something similar in Europe. I don't think it's going to be enough to challenge the bigger region in Korea, but it is very, very impressive how Collegiate esports and Overwatch esports has progressed because of Collegiate. And I'm certainly really enjoying casting Collegiate events of any microscope in North America.
And that comes back to comments we've made previously in this podcast about the thing that separates Korea from the rest of the regions is infrastructure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And it's starting.
It's a good infrastructure add.
Yeah.
I think Collegiate is something that's been added to the esports infrastructure in North America, and it's helped them significantly. Whereas UK, we're going backwards. So
honestly, it was a breath of fresh air after such a content drought to get one last really good competition, like a really good official competition on Overwatch 1, where we hadn't really seen anything since October of I guess November of any real competition. So I was just thankful that we got to soak this in and really get this preview as to what to expect come Contenders and come more T2 stuff. So,
oh dear, we've lost Ocean.
Oh, well.
He's still in the call, but we've lost his video feed.
Yeah, no worries.
You there, Ethan? Oh, it might just be the two of us. Ethan might have dropped off the face of the earth here.
Well, you know what? We're at our T2 tweet of the week, so I guess it's our two people T2 tweet of the week.
Yeah, let's add as many T's into that as we can. This
Tier
2 tweet of the week comes to us care of a friend of the pod, Louis, who in his dredging through the deep dark bowels of Reddit found a beautiful comment from a Redditor who frankly probably doesn't know what we're talking about here. But the thing that I want to highlight here is this final paragraph. The rest of Collegiate covers a huge skill range. I'd say the 3 through 10, mid-tier 2, yada, yada. Oh, there we go. Thank you for zooming in for me.
Yes,
it's
sir.
This final thing. UT Dallas Esports is just Petal and a bunch of megalols. And as a rebrand for a team, I love it. That's our tier 2 tweet of the week, Petal and the megalols.
And Louis, who's just embracing it, right?
Yeah, why not?
He just retweets it. We are no longer UTD Esports. We are Petal and the megalols.
Well,
oh, that was a good one.
Oh, he's back. He's joined us. We found him again.
I had to climb onto the table 3 times to change my Ethernet connection and shit. Oh my god, I've just been through a fucking dinosaur jungle thing down there.
Well, you did just all that in time to say goodbye.
Yeah, so welcome back and goodbye. I seem to have picked up this role and I don't mind reprising it. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you could give us a like and give us a follow on Twitter, give us a like on the podcast itself, that helps a ton, helps with visibility, helps people find us, lets us know that we're doing a good job. Please follow all of us individually on Twitter because we are dopamine obsessed and need those red notifications that say any people who have followed us. That's really helpful as well.
I get really upset if I don't get them.
Yeah. He's punched lots of walls, and I don't just mean a little bit, demolished them. You've got to help us out by upping Ocean's follow count here.
This is why I have this new wall set up, right?
Yeah.
The old ones are gone. They got destroyed.
There's no house
Like,
left. It is just
not having
this
enough
casting
attention.
studio.
Yeah, it's just
with the green
little
screen
box in the
set up in the
middle of
lawn.
nowhere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you can go and give your get well wishes to Billy, who I believe is still in chat watching us struggle through without him. Hopefully, he'll be back to fighting strength soon, and we'll be back with our normal 4-up and not this cardboard cutout Billy that we've got in between ourselves and Ethan there. Also, thank you again to Glitch City for letting us use their remix of the King's Row theme, and that's going to just about do it for us all here at Map 5. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.